Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Welcome to our Quick Tips Tuesday morning. It's 10 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, on a beautiful Tuesday morning. Just appreciate you all joining us today. Excited to get some quick tips out there for QuickBooks and get you going on some things that might help your world go a lot quicker and make you more efficient in the QuickBooks world. Before we get started, I do want to just mention we had a great turnout and great time last week for our QuickBooks Online Foundations webinar class. And if you would like to join us for the next time around, we're going to be having another session in November, coming up November 18th and 19th, and that's going to be QuickBooks Desktop. So those of you that are wanting to learn more about the beginning stages and foundations of QuickBooks Desktop, make sure to join us on November 18th and 19th and get registered as soon as you can. Go ahead and go to our website and get registered for that class that's going to be coming up. We're excited for it. All right, so let's delve in and get some quick tips going, help you out with your QuickBooks. So I've said it in the past before that, you know, don't feel like you can't learn anything if you're just strictly desktop. But today I want to show you what if you do use QuickBooks Desktop and you're not sure about this QuickBooks Online. You've seen it now. We maybe joined in last week and saw some of my tips and how to work in QuickBooks Online. So what's it all about? If you don't want to necessarily jump in, it's a little bit more expensive than QuickBooks Desktop, depending on the service that you get. But if you don't want to just jump in feet first, you can test it out and you can see whether this is something that you'd be interested in. So I'm going to show you a tip on how to just practice in a test file and just feel around, and you can follow around with what we're doing today. So I'm going to go to a new website here and I'm just going to type qbo.intuit.com. You can see it at the top there, .com, and then it's just /redir/test drive. I think those are technically called backslashes, but you can just look exactly how I have it typed up there and type that into your web browser, qbo.intuit.com, redir/test drive, right as you see it at the top there. So give that a try. See if you can play around in it and get a feel for how QuickBooks Online works and how it looks. It's way different than desktop, but one of the many benefits to it is that you can access it anywhere you have internet. So the people that like to be able to go out to their customers and give them an invoice right out in the field and create the invoice while you're on the job, those kind of things can be really beneficial to you. So just, you know, get an idea for how it feels, and if you like it, go ahead and sign up with QuickBooks Online and get going that direction. Things are definitely moving that way. All right, so I want to show you today about in QuickBooks Online, what is the difference between entering in a check and an expense? So the reason I wanted to show you this today is because this is different than QuickBooks Desktop. So if you were just coming in from QuickBooks Desktop and decided you're going to make the leap and jump into QuickBooks Online and try it out, you might have seen here that you have under the vendors, under my new plus tab over here, you have expense and then you have check. So a check, if you're entering in a check, it's basically you're putting in a check that has been written, handwritten, or you can print these checks directly out of QuickBooks. There's another little quick tip. If you hit this print later, you can print these checks directly out of QuickBooks to save yourself that extra step of handwriting it and then entering it in. You can order these checks that fit into your printer. They're legitimate type checks, and you can get them to where they have 3 sections on them, so you can tear off the bottom stub, keep that for your own record, kind of like a duplicate in a personal checkbook, and then give the other 2 pieces to your vendor, stick it in the mail, and that way it's entered and it's printed. You don't have to go and handwrite it yourself. So another little thing that you can do there. If you're entering in a check that's already been written, you would just enter in the check number here. You'd enter in your payee, who you're paying it to, and the check. So this is how you would enter things in, checks in, if it was actually a handwritten check or you're going to be printing the check out of QuickBooks. So you get the bill in the mail and you want to you've paid it already, or you're paying it right now when you get the bill right away. So you enter in the check. It's going to be reducing your checking account and expensing to the utilities expense right here. Easy as that. All right, so what if I am set up with my utilities company to be able to just have that utilities check come out of my checking account automatically each month. I see a lot of this with bill pays. A lot of the online banking will do bill pay, auto pay, that kind of thing. Or this could even be, let's think outside of the realm of utilities. This could be something that just comes out every month. It's just a reoccurring transaction that is an automatically coming out of your checking account. That is one example of why we would use expense. Now you might say, well, why would I use it if it's this doing the same thing as a check? Because you can put a reference number in here, you can put the checking account number in here. What's the difference? Well, we do encourage you to use the expense feature, enter through that realm, if you are using the bank feeds, and that's just a way to automatically pull in your transactions from your online banking right into your QuickBooks, and then you review it from there and then enter it in. So it's pulling in all the transactions for you. It's like an automated pulling in of all these transactions. If you do that, the expense shows up differently than the check. So if you're using bank feeds, there's a feature within there that you can match. And so if you're matching transactions that have already been entered, QuickBooks recognizes EFTs as the expense type rather than the check type. Okay. So use the expense for EFTs so that if you use the match feature within bank feeds, they match up correctly. And QuickBooks can recognize that amount matches up with that expense that you've already entered in. All right, another way to use expenses, let's just go ahead and put in our Cal telephone here. And then you'd put in the category just like you did the check. That part's all the same. No difference there. Pretty much doing the same thing. But like I said, this would be how you would enter it if it was automatically coming out of your checking account, an EFT or ACH, they call it sometimes. All right, so this is also what you would use if you were entering in a credit card charge. So let's say you paid your telephone bill over the phone with a credit card. This is how you would enter in a credit card charge into QuickBooks manually. Now, there is a way to do that bank feeds with credit cards, which is really slick. I would encourage you to take a look at that, especially if you have lots and lots of credit card transactions throughout the month. And it's a lot of just streamlined. You're just swiping your card at the gas station several times throughout the week. And it's always gas when you're swiping your card at the Big D or, whatever gas station you might use. So it's something that can really save you time if you use those automatic bank feeds for credit cards. But if you're going to be entering in manually credit card charges, this is where you would do it, right here. Again, I'll go over here and show you how to get there. You go to New, and under Headers, you go to Expense. And then when it pulls up, you enter in who this charges to and just select this as your credit card. So you can set up several credit cards if you want to keep track of them separately there. If you have several cards, just enter them in there. So this is a credit card charge, or you can do an EFT through expenses. This is the area in QuickBooks Online that you would enter those in. All right, one more quick tip, and this I'm recently learned this quick tip, and it's one of my favorites, so I'm very excited to share it with everybody because I didn't know that this was available, and it's going to save a lot of time for me because in QuickBooks Desktop, I would often use the little calculator tape in the amount field. So what that means is, let's say I'm trying to enter in, or let's say I'm entering in a credit card statement and I'm entering in several of them all in one line. I can use the amount field as a calculator. So in Desktop, it would pull up a calculator tape, like it would look like a tape within it. But this is the trick in QuickBooks Online. It says the value's out of range. It looks like it's not going to work. It makes it red, but just keep going. And then hit your Tab key. Look at that. It automatically adds them up for you. You just have to make sure that in between your numbers, you're entering in your plus sign, and it turns that field into a calculator tape. Very, very slick. It even works for the subtract sign if you're entering in multiple lines within a transaction and you need to subtract and kind of do some figuring around with your numbers and changing your numbers around, you can always enter in the subtract sign also. Hit your tab when you're done, and it puts the amount right in that field. Very cool. Love that tip. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Make sure to enter in the comments if you have something that you'd like us to go over next time. And just super excited that you were able to join us today on our Quicktip Tuesdays. Don't forget that we have a webinar series coming up in November 18th and 19th, and those are morning webinar sessions from 9 to 11:30 each day on the 18th and the 19th, and we're going to be going over QuickBooks Desktop. Hope you all can join us. Thank you, everybody. Have a great Tuesday. Thanks for joining us.